are just afraid of the gamble. And it takes such a small amount. You're talking about a few thousand pounds of hops, to match up with 1 million pounds of barley. So it doesn't take very much to do that, but it takes people, and it's a free enterprise system, and people do what they want. And sure, if somebody came along and wanted to grow hops in this county, whenever people come and talk to me about it or propose it, I tell them, sure, I think it's a great idea. But like everything else, we're in a global economy, and you got to look at not just hop production locally, but worldwide what's going on. And as far as almonds are concerned, a long time ago, when I actually moved up here, I actually moved from an almond ranch, and I worked in almonds. And you're correct as far as talking about in terms of water usage. But just in terms of production and cost of production, I'd say there's no way we can come close to producing like, say, Kern County and Merced and counties like that. They have a lot of versatility down there, and when markets go bad, like when the wine grapes went bad a couple of years ago, we saw about 200,000 acres being pulled out statewide, and a lot of those farmers, they switched to almonds, they switched to pistachios. They don't do it here because almonds don't really grow too well here, and growers don't feel like they can compete. But it takes people and just free choice to make some of those decisions, and but marketing has to be included. Somebody, I would tell anybody when they, want to put in a crop, or when they ask me if they should plant something, my first question to them is, where are they going to sell it? Or they talk to the processors or the buyers, do they have a market? And that's probably half of it.
Okay. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Bengtson, to the peer, our peer categories here, Bosque, Red, and Bartlett, I noticed that the price really went way up for Bosque and the acreage came down. Is that because they were pulled out? Maybe you could just comment a little bit. Are those numbers reflective in statewide demand for Bosque, or what are the various factors that give us this equation here?
I don't know. It's kind of like the stock market. The yield from 2006 to 2007 with respect to Bosque went way down, and the price went up 43%.
Right.
I think you just can't look at it locally. It has a lot to do with when pears are hitting the market, and whether we fit into a niche or not, or whether we hit the market at the right time. And with pears in general, what happens a lot of times is the Sacramento, what we call the river pears, hit the market first. And then if they have a small crop or they get done before we hit the market, then we hit it and get better prices, and then the market, and then the Lake County pears come off. If they all come off at the same time, we have a glut on the market. If the pears in the Northwest up in Washington come off, they impact our market. And then what happens a lot of times is what's left over in cold storage, not so much in 2007, but in 2006, and a little bit in 2007, I remember pear growers telling me that they got ready to go to market, and they'd approach some of the buyers and they'd say, we got fresh pears to sell, how much would you give us? And the stores and the markets were lowballing them, and they said, well, we got fresh pears. And they go, well, we got cold pears in storage, And they go, yeah, but those aren't fresh. Those are 6 months old or 3 months old or something. They go, we don't care. We don't need the fresh pears. Take the price or leave it. So there's all those different factors, all those competing geographical areas, and like I said, it's a little bit like the stock market. I've watched it lots of years, and the pear growers do too. And sometimes when it seems like the price is perfect, all of a sudden the next week it just crashes. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that answers your questions.
Well,
but
yeah, it helps. I think
not too many BOS have come out. Red pears was a little bit of a surprise to me that the price went up and they did as well as they did. Red pears, it was hoped that they would be a lot better than they were when people came up with the idea to plant them in the beginning. I was talking with a field rep for the California pear growers probably about 2 months ago. He was in town. I was having breakfast with him, and he told me that a lot of the red pears around the state are losing their redness, what they feel is what attracts the market. And ours actually haven't done so bad because either we're higher elevation and ours hold the color better, and that's kind of a market attractant. So actually our red pears right here in Mendocino, Lake County, are doing a little bit better than, say, the pears in other areas, say the Sacramento or the Valley regions.
Thank you.
Other questions of Mr. Bankston on